This influences my thinking and consequently my actions. People dislike me because I'm not completely like them. And in what way are you different?
All right, we should be live. We should be good to go. I'm sorry for a little bit of a delay there. We've had some technical issues, but we have gotten most of them resolved. But we'll figure out the rest of them later. So, hi, Jessica. Long time no see. Can wait?
Hey, how are you?
There you is. There you are. All right. So before we even get started, I want to make sure that the audio is correct because last stream that we had, I guess a few people were saying the audio was a little bit unbalanced. I have increased my gain and lowered the speaker gain. So let me know on the outside how this sounds to you, especially the speaker users. The headphones usually sound pretty well, but people are using speakers. It can be a little bit off.
It is good right now.
It sounds decent. Outside chat, let me know. Moderators, April out there, I see you taking some time away from mom duties to listen to this.
On my end, it sounds really good.
All right. So we're going to assume that the audio is good. It looks good on my end as well. So we're going to jump right into it. I did put the link to join in the live chat. It is open panel, so anybody can join this discussion, assuming you're, a decent person, I guess, right? Because these can get pretty contentious, especially this topic. Because recently on Twitter, this has been coming up over and over and over again. And the issue is, should kids be able to get gender-affirming surgeries, hormone replacement therapy, and puberty blockers, or any combination thereof? You've been around that topic for quite some time, obviously, although your expertise is more in sports, trans sports. But obviously, you've been in the discussions quite a bit, dealing with should kids have the ability to have these types of what I would consider to be radical gender surgeries and things of that nature. My position, I think, is probably similar to yours. Mine is no, and that has been recently changed by Billboard Chris more than anybody. But right now, my position is that I can't see a time when a child should be able to have these types of surgeries. And then we're going to discuss that with people coming into the program here. But where do you stand on that, Jessica?
Yeah, so sorry, there's a bit of delay on my end still. Yeah, no, I am 100% against any medical or surgical transition of children below the age of 18. In some states, you're not even emancipated now until you're 19. I know that's one of those states is Colorado. So I don't know if they want to go off an emancipation necessarily, but as an adult, you're recognized as a legal adult at 18. So yeah, I'm a firm believer that there should be no medical and no surgical intervention or transitioning or affirming. They label it so many different ways to bypass laws and regulations by calling it something that it's not. And yeah, no, it shouldn't be done below 18, period. I do have a solution we can talk about, though. or orchiectomy.
I've been wonderful. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. You know what? They couldn't hear me. That's okay. Sorry.
Mic
Hi.
check?
Yeah. We had a little muting issue. So I'm not going to go through all that again. I'm just going to throw it out there that I don't know if she can hear me. Jessica, can you hear me? There should be a heavy delay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't think Jessica can. Hi, Frankie. We're not muted.
Why can't Jessica hear you? She's using
I don't,
StreamYard.
I don't know.
I can hear everybody. It's just tuned down some of my.
Yeah, I think her computer is antiquated, and it's just having issues even with the StreamYards. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to turn off all of my Wi-Fi settings here in
Yeah.
my house so I can get.
Oh, you're on
better
Wi-Fi. Oh, you're on.
reception.
That's what it is. You're on Wi-Fi, not Ethernet. Yeah.
That explains.
Problem solved.
I have a Wi-Fi link between my two routers, and
Yeah.
I could stream just fine. I've been on hop on panel shows for like a couple weeks now.
Yeah, Jessica, what's happening is you're on Wi-Fi and your computer being antiquated.
On Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's not handling the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi, the maximum you're going to be able to get is probably going to be maybe 10 megabits per second. 10, but the problem is your upload speed. So you need to hardwire your computer using an Ethernet directly to the router one of these days. And I think that is going to fix a lot of
That's
your
not going to
problems.
make a difference. That's enough throughput for the audio and video.
You would think so.
It's part of
but
that rendering issue because you saw
would-
something became a rendered feed.
You would think so. I do 4,000 megabits per second, or 4,000 kilobits per second for 720. But the problem is Wi-Fi. It's just the throughput is so bad sometimes, and if you're trying to stream, you're not going to be able to stream well through Wi-Fi. I have to hard connect.
Well, I'm using a Wi-Fi link between two routers, and
Yeah.
my streaming's been just fine.
Well, she was on.
But
She was on a phone last time. That's why
The
it was
stream we
better.
did 2 days ago was flawless.
But
So I don't know.
but I.
No, I was on my laptop. just
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, that's true. You were on your laptop. Well, how's it now though? Did you cut down your bandwidth for your Wi-Fi? See the delay? It's weird, right?
Yeah,
I cut down everything in the house except for my computer. So
See, we didn't have this delay before. Or
it still sucks.
Oh.
I think it's my.
No, I know what
Oh,
changed.
it's terrible.
I know what changed. I didn't use StreamYards last time. I used Google Meets because it's easier to bring in people's for StreamYards for open panel. So how about I do this? How about I switch to Meets here
Yeah.
and try it from there? Okay.
Let me just get my opinion out before you just start playing games again. I'm already on here right now.
Go for it.
I'll get my opinion out. Then you can try to restart the show and the meets. Okay?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll email her the link right now.
So pretty much, the problem is, we have a whole lot of confusion between gender and sex. Gender is a social construct. It's mainly had to do with your name tag and your identity. I'm all for anyone put whatever they want in their name tag. That's just fine. But gender affirming surgery has to do with it's sneaking in the sex changes, but sex we do not have the technology to actually change someone's sex. So we just have a facsimile, it's a simulation of a sex change, which we can't do properly yet. We do not have the research done to change someone's
Well, yeah,
sexual
no, I think
character
most
from
people
one to another.
recognize that. I mean, obviously, it's only the radical gender ideologists think that like a biological male can become a biological female. Very few people, if any. I mean, it's just nonsensical, and I agree. And it is superficial, but and again, if it matches the psychological condition of the person, then again, if they want it as an adult, whatever works. I mean, again, if it helps them, I don't have an issue. They're an adult. So, yes, I think you're right, O'Flame, but the issue is with kids. This is my big thing. With adults, make yourself happy. If it works for you and you're well informed, make yourself happy. But the problem is kids cannot make these types of decisions, and we all know they're not actually changing sex. What they're changing is basically cosmetic surgery to align with the gender that they feel they're more expressing. That's fine. They're not changing biological sex, but children are never fully informed of these things.
All right. Well, let me just address what he was saying, because I know what he was talking about. It was a little choppy, but I could kind of hear it. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't exactly know your name because it keeps breaking up. So I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, you can call me Hank. Go ahead.
Hank? Okay, cool. So what you're saying is that I shouldn't call myself a transsexual because I can't physically change my biological sex, correct?
You can call yourself whatever you want. I don't really care.
So is that what your question was? You were saying something about labels or an ID?
Yeah, pretty much. Gender's just what you tell people to call you. Pretty much, it's a string. Gender's a string.
Yeah. So I agree with you 100%. I get ousted from my own community if I disagree with that, with what you just said. And I did a video about this just the other day, and I came to the conclusion that, okay, so it used to be called transgender, and it was all just, that's who we were. And then all of a sudden they said, well, the term's supposed to be transsexual because that's what it was back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And then they're saying that transgender just came out in the 80s and 90s because it's a gender fluidity thing. And so the old school trans people like me were supposed to change our labels to transsexual. And like I said, I did a video about that, not to repeat myself, but I literally said it is impossible to change your sex. So a transsexual is actually, in my opinion, kind of a fantasy thing. Like, you can't physically change your sex.
What do you say about the real radical out there? They're already saying that they are physically changing their biology, where they are becoming now a biological woman, experiencing things like menopause, menstrual cramps, and things of that nature.
Laughable, 100% laughable.
Do you agree though? I mean, the problem is that we're all rational people here. We all can have civil dialogue, and we're all, we do our own thing. It makes the good people, the good actors, yourself and Buck Angel and Blair White, it makes them look bad when you have these delusional people, and I will call it that, a delusion. If you think you're having a menstrual cramp and you're biological male, I don't know what else to call it. Gender dysphoria is not a delusion. It's an actual medical condition. It exists. It must be seriously horrifying to imagine yourself in the body that you're not, think that you are. And I feel empathy for that, absolutely. But to say that you're having menstrual cramps, that's a biological impossibility. And so they're not helping anybody by saying those things.
Right. Hank, was that what you were talking about?
Yes.
Let you finish. Okay.
I'm kind of skeptical of gender dysphoria. I think I'm fine with people changing their genders. That's perfectly fine with me. But the dysphoria thing, I'm actually skeptical on that because there's no class dysphoria, and we know for certain that people like Wall Streeters that lost all their money because they bet wrong, kill themselves because they don't have their money anymore. But there's no diagnosis called class dysphoria, so that doesn't make sense for we to have one and not the other.
Okay, right. So yeah, I thought that's what you were getting at, the fact that you can't physically change your biological sex characteristics.
Yeah, exactly.
You can. So I gave up on the whole issue, not to push onto this issue too much, but I quit. Like, yes, my bio says trans woman, like I'm thinking about changing that just to say Jessica. Like I'm so sick of the titles and labels and names that we've been given, and now we are arguing within our community about, are you transgender? Well, then you're a male with AGP, autogynephile. Are you transsexual? You're legit. You're validated. Blah blah blah. So I'm done with it. I'm over. I've had surgeries. I've been on hormones for 8 years.
Yeah, they try to prescribe it too. It's like, oh, you have to think like us. You have to use the terminology we use, right?
I can't take it anymore. I'm just done. I'm like, I'm over it.
Yeah,
Just
it's stupid. It shouldn't be a political issue. It's stupid that it's been made a political football.
I agree with you. It shouldn't be a political issue, but unfortunately, there are some very right-wing radicals that have made it a political issue. And I think that giving the fact that they're involving kids, that's what made it more politicized. I guarantee it. If people had not ever brought up kids transitioning, there wouldn't be that big of a topic, because you're Gen X, I'm Gen X. We didn't care growing up who was gay, straight, bi, trans. No one of us gave a shit. We didn't care. It was if you're a good person or you're not a good person. That's it. If it's based upon your actions and things of that nature. Nobody cared who you were attracted to. Or at least you shouldn't. There were obviously bigots out there, and there still are. But for the most part, why would anybody care who somebody's attracted to? The only people that seem to care about that are the people that for some reason are very, homophobic or transphobic, or the religious right, which for some reason is a condemnation.
Yeah, Abrahamists care, but unfortunately that includes Abrahamic missile theists that go by the brand name atheism. So does Abrahamists care, and they used to have a little bit more influence.
Well, what do you mean?
I don't care.
Yeah, but you're religious. I know that. But you're
I'm actually changed churches. I'm UU now, Unitarian Universalist now.
Oh, okay. You went to Universalism.
Yeah, Unitarian Universalist. Yes, okay. Because they have infrastructure, but they don't have dogma.
Oh, well, I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So, Hank, what about kids transitioning? You think that it's okay for adults, but you do think the 18 should be the line where they have the option then to transition and go get on hormone therapy. The problem with obviously with puberty blockers is they're less effective the older you get, but they cannot stop puberty. They only can push them back, and they're only for short term, about 6 months.
So I'm gonna be clear. So gender, and I'm for anyone putting whatever they want in the name tag. Just that so-called sex change operations, but we should just treat them like, use the same standards as other operations. This was classified as cosmetic. And
our connection, there he is, as I say.
Yeah,
he disappeared.
Yes, classified as cosmetic surgery, so we should just treat it as the same as other cosmetic surgeries in the same class.
So you're saying treat gender affirming surgery as cosmetic, even though there might be psychological reasons why it would be beneficial for a trans person to have them, because that is not more than cosmetic. It's actually, there would be medical reasons. It'd be psychological, but they would fall into medical.
Psychology is not medicine.
I disagree. Psychology is a branch of medicine. Psychological help is, look, we all know people that are psychologically, mentally unwell. And so those people need treatment just like you would any other treatment, whether you've got a physical problem.
Yeah, but they classify me as unwell, yet I outwork the so-called normal people, so I'm skeptical.
Well, it doesn't mean they're not functional. There are people that are mentally unwell that are still functional in society, clearly. But there's also people that are mentally unwell that are sociopaths and psychopaths that exist among us. And unfortunately, they don't get the help they need.
But there aren't people with broken legs that can just walk around because their legs are broken.
Sure. But maybe I'm missing your point, though. Jessica, you still there?
My point is that their classification system it's nonsensical when it comes to psychology.
Well, forget about the terminology. The terminology is not really of relevance. The fact remains is that for an adult that's well informed, if they want to have gender affirming surgery, I don't see a problem with that. I have
gender affirming surgery. They can have piercings. They can have.
If you want to tattoo your face,
tattoos.
If you want to have piercings,
they can have.
Right. I'm a libertarian.
Experimental implants.
Yes.
That's fine.
I'm a libertarian. And I believe in bodily autonomy, and if you want to do that, knock yourself out. But the problem I have is when it comes to children, when there's no possibility of them being informed properly of the ramifications, because they're not going to know even what it's like to have healthy sexual relations when they're older. They're not going to know what it's like to have, the ability to have children. They can not possibly know because they're not there yet.
Yeah, if they can't consent to sex, they shouldn't consent to a so-called sex change. It doesn't make much sense to me.
What do you think, Jessica? Can you hear that? I know there's a lot.
Yeah, it's just I can only hear like every other word both of you guys are saying. Like, I can't hear everything in one sentence.
We can switch.
I
to
literally
meets.
cannot understand what anybody's talking about.
I sent you a meets. Why don't you just switch to meets real quick?
I
It'll
don't
take
know.
2 seconds. Check your email.
I'll just say it again so you can get the other words. If you can't consent to sex, that makes no sense that we would allow you consent to a sex change.
I'm going to switch over to the meets real quick. Flame on, I'll put the meets in there, okay? Actually, why don't you join me on meets? Yeah, shoot. Yeah, I'll put the meets in there and you can join real quick, okay? All right, so give me 1 second here while I do this. Sorry, all. So I'm changing over here. Let me add this. I just entered meets myself. The camera's not going to work too well, though, I don't think. All right. All right. Is that better?
Yeah, I hear a keyboard clicking.
Yeah. All right. Let me just add on my Streamlabs here.
Yeah, I think you know what it was. I killed my Streamlabs. I just killed it. I think that's
yeah, because it does take up memory and things of that nature. All right. So, anyways, we're back. We're on meets now. So, I'm just waiting for a Flamo to get here, and we're back. We're still live.
okay. So I'm still on StreamYard though, right? With you.
I exited it, so you can exit that.
And now I see.
I'm just putting the Windows Meets in my OBS, but I'm
Okay, yeah, he's changing over from Streamlab to OBS. So
yeah, I'm having issues myself here. What is up with this? What is going on here? I tell you, it's like, can we ever have a stream that doesn't have technical problems? Is it possible even? I cannot resize my window if my life depended on it. I don't know why.
So, while he's doing that, like, Hank, what you guys said something about. So I get that he's saying it's a medical condition and should be titled as medical surgery, and you're saying that shouldn't be the case because it's a cosmetic surgery.
No,
like
he was saying he was saying it was cosmetic.
Yeah, so I do not have a problem with that. The reason that we were able to get the transgender or gender dysphoria into the DSM-5, they did that on purpose, which I heard that it's been taken out of the DSM-5, so it would go back to the way you were saying it shouldn't be labeled a medical condition. It should be just a cosmetic surgery. And I've treated every surgery. Yeah, but that's right, but that's how they got around to get insurance and government and California to pay for everything. Was say, "Ooh, this is a medical condition. Now it's government funded, and I don't have to pay out of pocket." So that was the whole key behind it. I've paid out of pocket for every surgery I've ever had, anyway. So
to you, it is cosmetic because it's not a medical necessity.
It is cosmetic surgery. I mean, literally, you go to a plastic surgeon to get this stuff done. So there's no, I don't know, denying that or lying about that. Like you're literally at a plastic surgery.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just thinking that for some people it might be such a psychological condition that for them it may be more of a medical reason to undergo surgery, and that's fine. But again, adults, right? Adults doing this, absolutely fine. And I've almost got the video done here, so they can see you here in a second. But again, the complaint is that when kids are going through these medical procedures, they are cosmetics, but unfortunately, they can cause complications, and they will cause sterilization. So yeah, let's transition there. That's the name of it. Actually, is called transition. There we go. People can see you now.
Okay, so am I doing the Google Meets page? Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
close screen card, right?
Yeah, close to yours. Yeah.
All right.
And it's,
That's gone. All right, this is better. I mean, it was fine before when you weren't here. Now we still don't see your face, but just your avatar.
Yeah, I can't. I'll have to fix that if I can. But go ahead and just talk to Flamo.
Okay, we'll just say the thing we just said again. Pretty much, if we're honest about what things are, there's no debate because we already agreed what kind of surgery people can opt for. This is the so-called gender affirmation surgery is a cosmetic surgery because we do not have this medical advancement to actually change someone's sex.
Yeah, I think Jessica agrees with you on that. But again, those cosmetic surgeries, they do cause sterilization for children, and some of them can, obviously. So again, the question is, should kids have gender affirming surgeries? And I think all three of us say no, and I think all three of us say it for the same reasons, if I'm not mistaken. Do we not?
Affirmative.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So I want like the outside, and I like to get people to kind of join of why they think that children should get affirming surgeries and get that side, because I only see people doing it on Twitter. I only see people on Twitter willing to go, oh yeah, we should have gender affirming surgery for kids, but I don't get very many of them live to really give us the arguments for that.
No, yeah, nobody's going to come on live and ask me about that because they know it's just going to be a shouting match at the end. I've gotten to 3 arguments yesterday on Twitter. I don't know if you saw them, X, whatever. One was another trans person around my age. She said that she's full support and says that I'm keeping kids from achieving their full self. I've heard all
the rhetoric. Yeah, that's rhetoric.
Yeah, the cliche buzzwords they use. I've heard them all, and it breaks my heart to think that these older generation trans people would actually advocate for this. Like, it's seriously. I think that's
why are they? Do you think though? What is the reason behind that? What's advantageous for them to advocate for children?
They want to switch into psychological absolutism, but the thing spirals out of control because if someone identified as the dictator of America, then that means everyone has to be their slaves, and that's absurd.
I'm not following that. Can you run that by me again?
Yes, if someone identified as the dictator of America, that means for their psychological health, we have to pretend to be their slaves or something.
But I'm not.
And that's absurd.
Oh yeah, I see what he's saying. Okay, so yeah, I get it. But yes, it's similar to that. I guess I don't know. It just takes my heart away when I think about these kids being medically altered or surgically altered. Like, they all claim that the surgeries aren't happening. I know you spoke about Billboard Chris earlier. They are happening. Like,
they are happening. They're well documented. They're well documented up to the age of 11, 12 even.
I have connections with being who I am, and I do have connections in this community. I can get you a doctor tomorrow that will operate on a 14-year-old. I'm not naming names, and I would never do that, but I'm just saying the avenues are there. You just have to know who to talk to. And that's scary. That should be like being alarms should be going off. People should be like, what? No, kids should not be allowed to do that, period. And I'm just saying the resources are out there, and it's frustrating trying to stop it. Was that for me or Hank?
Oh, that's for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was muted, but you're going to answer the question. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 100% financially driven. And there's two parties that have stake in this, and one's, I hate being cliche again, but one is the government, and two is big pharma, but aren't they linked together? So I got this information from like Chloe Cole, who's a detransitioner, very popular, that it is estimated every trans child, if taken in as trans from, say, puberty on till adulthood, mid 38, 48 years old, that's worth $1 million per person to the pharmaceutical industry. So, and not to mention, that's over $80,000 of surgery bills for insurance companies to pay for and doctors to bill. So big pharma, government, and the privatized medical industry all benefit from a trans child. Because once you get them into the system, it's hard to get out. I mean, it sounds like the mafia or a gang, like it literally is. Because once you put somebody through surgery or the Lupron, the hormone blockers, which is a total mistake like that, puberty blockers shouldn't even be a thing. I mean,
only there are medical reasons why people have puberty blockers, right?
Cases, yes, where girls might start puberty a little early,
or cancer treatments and things of that nature. Sure,
that's 0.0005% of the population. Like, come on. So, but anyway, yeah, Lupron should never be used on a healthy, full-grown child who does not have any inclination other than he likes trucks and he's a girl, or she's a girl and she likes trucks, or he's a boy and he likes pink roses. Who cares? Like, let him grow out of it. But still, the answer to your question is money. And there's three, I said two originally, there's three companies that benefit: the privatized surgical industry, pharma, and government.
I agree with you. I think it is. I think for them it's money, but the outside missed the question, so I'm just going to quickly repeat it. But what is it for the doctors themselves? Doctors have the Hippocratic Oath, right? Do no harm. They shouldn't be money driven, right? They should.
No, they're money driven. They're in so much they're from medical school.
I get that, but let's get principle of charity. Let's get principle of charity. Do they not realize they're causing harm, or do you really think that maybe Hank's right? They're just so money driven, and they're making bank off this that they don't even care about the well-being of their patient and the child. I have a hard time accepting that. I really do, because if that's the case, they need to be disbarred. They need to never practice medicine again, and they need to be basically quartered and flogged in the public square. But I can't imagine a doctor going through medical school that entire time knowingly and willfully wanting to do harm to kids just for money. I so don't want to believe that.
Well, maybe they're stupid. Maybe they just don't know they're doing harm because the school didn't teach them.
Well, you have ethics classes, and one thing in ethics class you learn is you don't do procedures off people's beliefs. If a person says, "Hey, look, I believe that this, and this," you go, "No, let's do a differential diagnosis," and you learn how to treat the underlying conditions. But if a child says, "Look, I think I'm trans, I want to have gender reassignment surgery," I don't know any medical school in the world that would say that is appropriate.
Yeah, but you're missing the fact that all of our colleges now are liberal and heavily push this gender ideology stuff.
From kindergarten, they're pushing it.
Yeah, but the professors who are teaching these surgeons you speak of,
I got you.
The professors are, I don't know what it is, if it's a mind set or what gets into these people, but why are they so driven that, this is life?
How is it they have so many of them?
It's not life-saving surgery. Like it's.
How do they get to be such big numbers though? How do they get so influential to be able to put teachers in kindergarten class trying to have neopronouns, which is ridiculous? Or how do they get so influential where they have people in medical school teaching these kinds of things? I mean, how did it grow out of proportion?
The pronoun issue is different from the surgery issue.
It's all related. Issues. No, I disagree. It's all an agenda. It is all ideologically based, and I don't know how they got so many people buying into this. Again, as adults, that's fine, but when they start involving kids, I don't know how many people have not stepped up and said, as parents, as people that have kids in the educational system, that are going, hey, wait, This is not what my kid should be learning in 10, 11 years old. They have books out there about graphic sex at 10 and 11 years old. And yes, some of these people started on puberty blockers at age 11 and 12. How old was Chloe? What, 12? How old was Jazz Jennings? 12? These are not even isolated cases.
There's no unified ideological basis for it.
I think there is. I mean, Jessica,
what's the ideology then?
Do you think that critical gender ideology is some kind of like social contagion and movement to again normalize kids just having to have radical surgeries just because they believe the opposite sex rather than they might just be a tomboy? Because you know what's so funny is it's the gays and the lesbians are stepping up and going, no, wait a minute here, this is not what we worked for. We wanted equal rights. And all of us back in the Gen X, we were right behind the gays and lesbians, going, hey, they're people. They can marry who they want. They want to have sex with who they want. They're adults. Leave them the hell alone. Stay the hell out of our bedrooms. And now it's the gays and lesbians being told, no, you're not gay and lesbian. You're trans. And they're like, no, we're not. My kid's not. Am I imagining this? Because this is what I see happening when I read these stories on the news and on Twitter.
No, it's not. It's not. There's no ideological basis. This is just a convenient money grab for just doctors who want.
But it has to come from ideology somewhere down the line.
Well, if it existed, you would know what it is by now because you've been studying so much.
Yeah,
philosophy.
it's called critical gender theory. That's being taught in colleges, and I'm not against it being taught, believe it or not. I would never take the course myself. But I believe kids should be exposed to all kinds of different things in college. I have nothing against that. But you can't teach certain things as fact.
Yeah, but I know there's a critical class theory, and no one's advocating for a money plasty.
Well, they don't talk about the money side of it, probably, I would imagine. I mean, Jessica, do you know anybody that's actually been through critical gender theories courses?
I have not. I didn't know that.
I don't know there are too many either.
I've heard of gender studies. I don't know what level that's at, whether that's K through 12 or above in college, but there are gender studies classes you can take. And I think a lot of them they go into as a psychological thing, not psychological, but whatever courses someone would take if they wanted to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they go into those gender studies as part of that whole curriculum. And I would love to know why professors are just pounding this into their students about gender affirming. Like, it seems fake to me. Like,
I think this is Facebook bullcrap. I don't think they're actually teaching that.
Yeah, I see these kids on the street and they're just constantly spouting out words like trans rights or human rights, and they're getting all these college students to do this and, attack Riley Gaines and not let, Michael Knowles on their campus. Like, it seems so fake to me that it's
performative. I call it performative outrage.
I don't like.
Yeah,
it doesn't register in my head that this can actually be happening. Like, these people are this passionate about something that doesn't affect their life one bit. Because the big thing is, we see these kids on Facebook and Instagram with these protest signs, and I look through the crowd, and I did a tweet the other day that got over 1,000 views or 1,000 likes, 3,000 views. I said not one of the people in the crowd bitching about trans rights was actually a transgender person. They were all just normal people.
It's so funny because people want allies, right? The gay community wanted straight allies, and they got them, and I was absolutely one of them. I still am. I always will be. And then the trans community, wants allies too. But the allies they seem to be getting are the vicious people that will knock over tables and just make them look extremely bad. It's almost like they're actually like working against the trans, because I know that you have seen videos where you are like, why are these idiots acting like this? It makes, it ruins it for everybody. I mean, there's no way you could tell me it's rational to go up to Billboard Chris and, kick him or something, or knock over tables, or prevent him from filming. This is not normal behavior. This is not behavior we would expect for people that can actually have intelligent dialogue to say, hey, look, Billboard Chris, I think you're wrong. Let me explain to you why. That's fine, right? But you as well as I have seen like you said, they're not even trans. They're just people that are, like, supporting trans community that are not doing any good to anybody. And if anything, they're harming.
They're not looking
the
for dollar. They're looking for control. So he doesn't force your will. It's simple.
I think it's control too. But but do they not realize the damage they're doing? Because I get flack for this all the time.
They realize it, and they say it's worth it.
But I call out the bad actors, and I call out the people in the trans community. They're making trans people look silly because they're doing things like that. They're harming the trans community. I mean, Dylan McVaney.
I have a question for Hank. When you said they're looking for control, who is looking for control? The students, the kids protesting, or the government above the students wants control?
Yes, both of them. Both of them want more control.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Hank. I just wanted to know which party you were talking about wants control. Like, was it the teachers of the students want control? But
the teachers want more control, the students want more control, and the doctors want more control. So they're all working together to enforce their will, even though the science doesn't support what they're asking for.
How about we just let kids be kids? Wouldn't that be? Isn't that the simple solution? Let them grow up and see what they want later on. Why are we forcing these beliefs onto kids when they don't even know what the hell life is even about yet?
Because they don't care. There's a payday. There's clout. So they'll throw some kids away if they get them to the top of the power hierarchy.
That's sad. That to me is mind blowing. Yeah. That's just mind blowing. That this is going to be a dark history, a time period in history where we are willing to have throwaway kids for financial gain or just.
Well, here's the thing.
Ideology.
We've done that since we humans existed. So
you're not wrong.
This is a normal pattern.
You're not wrong, but you think we would learn as a species, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I don't know if we learn species, but it's a pattern that we regularly used.
So Jessica, like one of my moderators, she has a lot of pushback. I invited her on, but she won't come on panel yet, which is fine. But what do you say to her when she's like saying that 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, it's not getting done, and even if it's not, the topic could be hypothetical. Should a 12-year-old get gender reassignment surgery? It doesn't have to actually happen. We know it does happen. We know that these are things that do occur, but at least if it's a hypothetical. Let's take it out of the equation with the statistics, because I hate people throwing out statistics. Oh, this and this, because they're all manipulative. The fact remains, either child should be able to get gender surgery, or they shouldn't. There is really no middle ground there. So, what would you tell my moderator as far as your belief that children should never get gender affirming surgery?
And are you saying she's advocating for?
Yeah, I think she's on the side of a 12-year-old wants hormone blockers, and everybody gets together and says it's fine, and then at 16, if they want to get a double mastectomy and vaginoplastic and all this other stuff, or whatever they want to do, it's fine. Yeah.
I can't hear that. Like, I don't want to hear that. If she's advocating for it, and I'm going to tell her she's crazy. I shouldn't.
All my mods are crazy. No, it's okay. They're my mods. They know this. It's part of the job.
Women hate being called crazy. I know that. I shouldn't use that word. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with. There's several arguments that I can use and that I have used. One of them not being all the statistical numbers. I think they came out with it. At first, they said 92%. Now they're saying more like 85% of kids. Literally, if you let them go through puberty, they will grow out of their dysphoric gender status, right?
I've heard that.
Now, I don't know. That number keeps fluctuating. So then there's the second argument that I use that the human body I used this yesterday. The human body was designed, and we were born to age in a certain way. And you were born to go through puberty from 8 to 15 years old. Like that's.
I agree with that.
All of it's growing. Your brain doesn't stop growing till you're 26, roughly, they say. Frontal lobe, all that. So why mess with that? You're only creating another pharma customer in the long run. So you've delayed puberty for you said 6 months, but I'm telling you, they wait longer. Like you delayed puberty for over a year. You've now got a health issue with a person with a weak heart, degenerative bone disease, osteoporosis, bigger chances for cancer. You've got so many health conditions that you've created in an older person that you don't even know until they're 50.
You're 100%
and even
correct.
when they're 50, you're not going to know that, it's because they took Lupron for 3 years when they were a child. That's why they have that's why they have scoliosis now. or that's why they have a failing liver. There's so many parts of the body that develop during puberty and need to develop strongly. Like, I can't push that enough. And even going on HRT, which is just cross-sex hormones, you're still growing the body, but you're growing your body in the wrong direction from what it was initially born as. So it's worse for females. I will say that. I do feel more empathy for trans men. That's women who want to go be a man.
It'd be more difficult, yeah.
Yeah, their testosterone destroys their body. Like, I am not kidding. It tears them apart. When you put too much testosterone into an XX chromosome body, it almost wants to reject it. Like, it's not good. And all these kids online bragging about, oh, I feel better on testosterone.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that. Look at Buck Angel. He had many complications due to testosterone.
Yeah, the other name, when we brought up Billboard Chris the other day, and Scott Nugent, that's the trans man. He is a huge advocate against these children. And yeah, look at Scott Nugent's arm. Like, 90% of his arm is missing from the phallic.
Yeah, they took off the skin.
And it never came back. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It's to me it's butchery. Was Scott fully aware? I mean, did he have any idea what was really going to happen?
I've never followed. Like, I've listened to him speak at Congress and legislation meetings and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth. So I don't know if he actually was duped into it, like, and not just told like his parents were told, do you want a living son or a dead daughter?
By the way, that's so emotionally manipulative, I can't even tell you. And it's a false dichotomy, a completely false dichotomy.
It's stupid, I know. And I argue about it on Jubilee. I mean, I didn't get to say much on it because the other people, but yeah, one of the prompts on Jubilee, my middle ground episode is gender affirming care life-saving, something like that. And, all the conservatives came forward and said, no, it's not. Like, there's therapy. I'm old school, so I would just tell people, look, grow up. Like,
suck it up. That's how we do it. We suck it up, right? Walk it off was our motto for the Gen X. Walk it off, right?
My mom has been on depression medication almost all her life. My daughter's been on anxiety medication, and they both tell me they wish they had my internal strength. So I don't know if it's me or whatever, but like, I refuse to be depressed. Like, I will not be depressed.
That's
just like
awesome. See, and that is strong-willed. And the
thing is, I didn't have the will to not transition. Like, I felt this.
But it's made you happier, correct?
It is. It's a better part of my life, and I am a better person because of it, 100%. And anybody who knows me from my previous life, who knows me now, would tell me I am 100% the opposite person. I am not the same.
And you know what? That's growth. I think that's wonderful.
So yeah, it wasn't. But I wasn't suicidal. I think I've talked to you about this before. The kids,
they have suicidal ideation, or they're told they have suicidal ideation.
Yeah, it wasn't that necessarily. Do I struggle with suicide some days? Yes, I've said that before. Like, there are days when I just don't want to deal with this anymore, and I think
don't you think though, on the average, everybody has had that in their life at least once or twice at some point, and that's not a diagnosis of depression. That's the human condition.
Yeah, it could be money. It could be a death in the family, an addiction you just can't get rid of. Anything can cause suicide.
But when you have the human condition like that, don't you think it's predatory when they come in and say, look, you're depressed and it's probably because you're actually trans? That is, to me, is predatory.
Oh, that's 100% money-driven predatory.
Yeah.
No, it's predatory. It's predatory when they say you're depressed and they say whatever they're selling, instead of listening to the person say why they're depressed, they sell you this thing or that thing or that other thing.
I love my mod. She's like, I'm old school's code for I'm a dick and hate everything new. Yeah, it's a little bit, but at the same token, no, old school, we really were like that. I mean, it was like go play in the street, and if you survived, it was okay. We walked it off. We weren't coddled. This generation is so coddled that they think they're entitled to everything. These are the ones that are going out, let me speak to your manager. If they don't get what they want, they'll put it on social media. They're the ones working out in a gym, and if some, God forbid, somebody takes a quick glance at them or walks in front of their camera, they lose their shit. This is not the generation I grew up with, and so it's not being a dick. It's just that today's generation, I'm sorry, but they are weak and coddled and entitled and spoiled and brattish and just
You're on Facebook too
annoying.
much.
They're annoying.
You're on Facebook too much. That's just Facebook stuff.
I
This is
got
the whole Facebook thing.
I got 5,000 friends on Facebook. So yeah, I deal with a lot of
it's
people. But it's
Facebook
not. It's like it's Twitter. It's Instagram. And even on Instagram, you have these people that are role models, and kids are following that. I mean, somebody made a brilliant post on Twitter just not long ago saying, look, there was the satanic panic. The book comes out and people are like, oh, the satanic panic. People talking about cutting. Everybody was starting cutting. Oh, people were talking about bulimic and anorexia. And so all these.
I joined the UU because the Satanists have no influence and they don't do anything. So,
but my point is,
I joined as something that's an analog for it that actually had some infrastructure and power. The Satanists have pretty much have nothing going for it, so there's no satanic panic.
But they're influencing people, and that's the problem. These are influencers that kids will look at and go, oh, look, I wanted to dye my hair purple. I want to dye my hair blue, and I want to get a nose ring. And again, I don't care about self-expression. But they're also saying, oh, well, my preschool teacher has told me about these gender-neutral pronouns. Oh, I think I might be, the opposite sex or gender. Because they're asking 10-year-olds what their sexual preference is. And I am outspoken in saying that is ridiculous. When will you ever?
I'm fine whatever they put on their name tag. It doesn't make a big difference.
When is it rational to have to ask a 10-year-old about their sexual preference? What am I missing here?
Yeah, to ask about their sexual preference is irrational. Asking what they want to put on a name tag is fine. It doesn't make any difference.
Again, let kids go through whatever development they want to. Kids grow. There are kids that grew up putting on their mom's high heels and wearing dresses. I'm take the fifth, whether I did or didn't. I'm just saying that kids go through their phases, and so you're not letting them develop as they normally would when you're telling them, not you specifically, but when people are telling them, oh well, you must be trans, and there's citations all over the internet. I mean, these are just ubiquitous. I mean, it happens all the time. That's what I'm saying. When April wants citations, like citations of what? These things are happening all the time. You throw out statistics, but does it really matter? I mean, I could say in 2021, 776 women or girls between the ages of 12 and 17 got double mastectomies, according to Rutgers. Okay, those were gender-affirming double mastectomies. They weren't due to cancer; they were due to gender-affirming. So 776 girls had their breasts removed because they were told or believed that they were transgender. But again, it doesn't matter if there's 1 or 1,000. The question is, should they even be allowed to have gender-affirming surgeries? And I can't think of a single case where they should.
Well, unfortunately, you're not. They're going to say, well, I'm a doctor and you're not.
No, but there are doctors out there that agree. There's doctors out there that say you shouldn't have gender-affirming surgery for kids. There are doctors out there that say it's ridiculous to have hormone replacement therapy or puberty blockers for children. There are many doctors out there that say that.
Yeah. But the bar, aka the doctors union, agreed that we'll let some people just do the surgery where they can make their money.
Well, yeah, but again, I like to think it's more to it than just money. By the way, Frankie, yeah, come on back in. I put the link out there, Frankie, if you want to come back in. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, I lost connection on my laptop or desktop thing.
No worries.
Desktop, okay.
No worries.
I mean, desktop too.
So, but I was saying that there are doctors out there that are against this kind of stuff. So you can't say one doctor agrees, one doctor disagrees. The principle is when would there be a time for a child, a 12-year-old, to start puberty blockers and then at 15, have radical surgery to sterilize them? Somebody explain to me when that would be proper. And I don't want to hear when some doctor agrees with it, because you have 10, 20 doctors that don't. I want somebody to give me an example of when they think this is medically necessary to the point where if they don't have it happen, there's going to be a problem with that child growing up medically, and not them taking their own lives. Because again, I think that's emotionally manipulative. I'm talking about what will happen in their growth if they don't have these surgeries. And the honest answer is nothing, because it is a psychological condition. It's gender dysphoria. It's not a medical condition requiring surgery. So can somebody tell me when they think a kid would be allowed and justified to do this? Because I can't think of one. I got a lawnmower out there too, if you guys can hear that. Sorry about that.
I cannot hear it.
Jessica, did you hear me?
It locked up there for a second. I don't. I don't know what's going on. My laptop is messed up.
That's okay. We're probably gonna end it clone soon because I got a loud noise outside.
I can't hear it, Steve.
You can't hear me? Oh, you can't
No,
hear me?
I'm not hearing
Oh,
the lawnmower. You gotta get your directional mic and point after if you want
yeah,
to
that's
hear the
true.
lawnmower.
But the outside probably can. But I was asking and I was saying, can somebody tell me when it is appropriate for a child to get hormone replacement therapy, puberty blockers, or a sex change, or gender affirming surgery before they reach adulthood? And I have not had one person give me a solid instance of when this is the case. And it would be so rare, even if there was, but it isn't becoming rare. It's becoming normalized. This is thousands of kids are going through this. I think it was 2,000 kids in the UK that are suing for this. Have you, Jessica? Do you know about the lawsuit in the UK?
Yeah, I've heard several lawsuits coming around lately just for that reason. To answer your question a little bit, like some of the arguments I got in yesterday were, just the usual buzzwords, life-saving, but you're asking, when is it okay? Or
Yeah. When would be like April argue? The argument that I hear a lot of times is if you don't allow them to go through puberty blockers, then you have doomed them to surgery. Oh, I just got a super chat from Siggy. 5,000 ARS, which I'm not sure. I think it's how much that is, but it's substantial, I think. But Siggy, read your super chat in 1 second here. Siggy and I have very different beliefs, to say the least. Although we used to get along really well, and but he says this: it's $15. There you go, Argentinian, $15. I think it is. Thank you for that super chat. He says, "Going to use this to say hello to the transphobes. Hi, transphobes. Regurgitating propaganda." So we have a transgender on panel here, which is going to be, I think, a superstar one day. Please find me a study specifically on risk of HRT on transgender people. Okay. You're all using personal experience. Well, she's trans. I think that she can speak from personal experience, and literally lies to conform your pre-selective conclusions. The regret rate of transition is less than 2%. More people regrets nose jobs than transitioning. That is a bullshit figure, by the way, and that is caused from the Dutch study that was actually self-reporting, and it was mostly adults. There's been no long-term studies for regrets. There's been no long-term studies for children. There's been no studies on this for kids that are, and especially that are non-self-reporting. So to say that it's 2% is just throwing out a number there. And even if there is no regret, you're still having some children that are going to be sterilized that do regret it. And we don't know what's going to happen 20, 30 years from now. These are new surgeries. So, Jessica, can you add to this? Because he's calling you a transphobe. You're trans.
Real quick on the 2% number also, that the detransition community is large, and it's right now, currently, it's underground. So all of the detransitioners aren't coming forward. So the number is skewed. There's more than 2%. We just don't know about it because they're afraid. And they don't want to come out and say, I was wrong. And a little bit of it could be ego, depending on what age they are then regretting the transition. But it's an ego thing too, because let's be honest, a lot of us are men who want to be women, and we have an ego. The male ego does not disappear when you take away testosterone.
By the way, it's about $50 because it is red, so it's got to be at least $50. Thank you, Siggy, for
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. I regret Siggy not getting along with me any longer. We used to have very cordial discussions just like this, and then he decided to go the whole transphobe thing, and it's just like, look, I'm not going to have people around me using that term because it's offensive to people that are allies, and it's offensive to trans people that are clearly not transphobic. There's no way you could tell me that Jessica's transphobic. She's been leading out there on sports for quite some time, and she's just now going to try to get recognized. I recognized her, and I went, "Holy crap! Here's a voice of reason." And
right.
and for say that like I'm a transphobe because I reached out to trans people to get their side of things. They always say, "Listen to trans people," and then when you do, you're transphobic.
So I want to know. This was brought up to me yesterday. It feels like this is the same person that was arguing with me on Twitter yesterday, but
it could be.
Yeah, like. How is my lived experience irrelevant in this case? That's what they told me.
You're not the right type of transgender, apparently.
They didn't want my lived experience. I can't remember the terminology they used, but they said my lived experience doesn't supersede that of peer-reviewed studies and all these charts and numbers they were listing. I never found out. There's two numbers, 85% and 32% confirmed affirmations have saved lives. I don't know what the percentages they were talking about, but again, they were just trying to invalidate my personal experience as a transgender person to being invalid against all their scientific numbers. And I just want to know, to that person, the super chat, why is my opinions and my lived experience invalid? Why? Like, tell me that.
That's a great question. And again, what is it so much about the numbers? Because the numbers can be easily manipulated. And again, there's no long-term studies for this. What about the children that have been sterilized and have been having regret? What about the Chloes of the world? What about the Jazzes of the world? I mean, we just seem to throw them away as, oh, well, you know what? They made a horrible mistake. They were children that were not able to make these types of decisions on their own. And of course, they were pushed into it. You have parents pushing into it. You have teachers pushing into it. You have society. You have friends pushing them into it.
Yeah,
See, I don't get why Siggy doesn't get why those children should be protected. And yet, if you try to protect children, you're a transphobe. How is that? How does that even make sense in the ideological?
Okay.
realm?
I want to talk now. I'll give you. So, Siggy says you're regurgitating propaganda. I actually agree with them. At least when it comes to you, Steve, you are regurgitating propaganda.
What propaganda am I regurgitating? Give me a specific thing.
This Facebook like whataboutism, that's kind of irrelevant. So let's address the number. Less than 2% people regrets.
Again, that was a self-reporting study.
Let me speak. So less than 2%. The thing is, the statistics did not collect enough data. You say peer-reviewed data. They're not doing the studies. We don't know who is actually regretting it because they're not doing the studies.
That's what I said. How am I regurgitating? Because there's 2,000. There's a lawsuit in the UK right now with 2,000 plaintiffs.
Regret rate we don't know the real regret rate because they're not studying.
Well, that was my point. So how am I regurgitating but you're making the same point I'm making?
The other stuff you said is irrelevant.
But you agree? Look, again, if I'm not mistaken, there was 2,000 plaintiffs in the UK court case, and they were kids when they went through these things. If I'm not mistaken, is that true? If I remember correctly.
I don't know the numbers on that.
But you do know detransitioners.
Hank, yeah. What propaganda was? What was the propaganda that you said? Because you said
the Steve doing the what about this and what about this, what about that. I don't care. But when the guy says this state says the regret rate's this much, then didn't study enough people, so we don't even know.
Okay, but I'm agreeing with you. So how am I promoting propaganda?
Because all the other stuff you said was just propaganda from Facebook.
That's not from Facebook. I'm telling you right now, it's not from Facebook.
Hank, are you talking about like the Jazz Jennings and the Chloe Cole stuff, or something else?
The other stuff, not the Jazz Jennings, the Cole stuff.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, Frankie. How are you?
Jazz Jennings is a bad example to use for that, just because Jazz is still on the fence of whether I have made this mistake or not. Like, her parents are saying no.
Changing, though.
I couldn't tell you honestly what Jazz Jennings wants. Like, that child.
She doesn't know what she wants. She admits she's asexual now. She has depression.
But like shapeshifter, that's one. That's a detransition that ruined her life. Scott Nugent. There's a few out there.
It really boils down to how is it justified that we base these decisions on children's beliefs? That's what it boils down to. And I have yet to have somebody explain to me how do we do that. Frankie, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
We love Frankie. Hi, Frankie.
Hey, what's going on? Okay, so you guys can hear me all right?
You're fine. Yeah. You're coming by 5 by 5, so say what you got to say.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, you guys are discussing the efficacy of children transitioning.
Correct.
Or whether it be for or against. That's the conversation we're having.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay, so
we'll do the sports another time because that's actually her forte. We'll save that for her channel. She ever invites me on
Yes.
her channel, but go ahead.
Yeah, sports, I could talk about that one all day. But okay, so as far whether it be transgender aside, I don't believe that children have the capacity or, they don't have foresight yet. Like there's a reason they talk about, your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25. Eh, I mean, just me saying that, some would say that I'm transphobic, which I'm not at all.
It's a word being
I
thrown out there that just shuts down the conversation. And as I said before, I've even had a poll, and I should find it. And the poll actually said, if you hear the word transphobe, are you more likely to believe the person, less likely, or no change either way? And I was like 85% said less likely. Anytime people start throwing out terms like transphobe, I tune out because they probably have nothing of interest to say. They're just shutting down conversation.
And it's not fair to, the people who are on that side of the fight because, to them in their lives, for those who are transgender, they do deal with people who are transphobic, who are, bigoted against them. So to have that word just be reduced to, just a eye roll is, that would be disheartening.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's ask Jessica about that because I'm sure Jessica has experienced true transphobia. People that have been shitty to her that are transphobe. How would you compare them to people on the panel, the people that you ran into on Twitter, the people that saw you on Jubilee and went, oh man, we want to hear more of her. We want to hear her voice. When somebody says the word transphobe and they apply it to somebody like myself or Frankie, who you just met, but she's wonderful, or Hank, he's wonderful. He's been a supporter of my channel for years. How does it in your mind when you hear that compared to the actual transphobes that have I'm sure made your life miserable? What do you respond to those people throwing around that word like that?
That's a tough one. I think that a lot of it, I feel like they feel like they're being personally attacked, whether they are trans or not. They're going to throw that word at someone. To a little bit to agree with you is just to end the conversation, or I don't really feel any different way about if somebody. It's that term that's just been overused,
yeah.
So
but you don't think it minimizes it
to me anymore? I guess maybe I don't even acknowledge it. Just it's like whatever.
But it used to have impact. It used to mean something. It used to be these horrific, shitty people that were homophobic.
Okay, and it's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead by all means.
He does it all the time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, welcome to my show. Well, you new here, Frankie? You know where you're at.
But I guess just to compare it to my own lived experience being a Black woman, which I'm
Wait,
not.
You're black? Wait, when this happened?
I'm not. I'm not saying it's the same thing.
When did this happen?
Not what I mean at all.
Wait, when did you become black?
Yesterday morning.
Was it surgery? Did you have race affirming surgery?
I just sat outside in the sun. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So for me, before I used to not, I would try to be that exceptional Black person, the one who, I never looked at race. I was always I'm not going to be sensitive. It's just a word, I'm not going to let people who are prejudiced, control the way that I move about, the world. And then I don't know what it was, just different experiences and getting a little older. I don't know. I realized that it's not there are people in my life that are prejudiced that I have dealt with. And I know myself. I know that I'm a logical person and that 9 times out of 10 in a situation, I'm probably going to not give myself as much grace when it comes to people mistreating me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, it's absolutely analogous. Absolutely analogous.
So I have to keep telling myself, like, you know what? These things do mean something. I'm not going to let people overusing it or misusing it take away from what it actually means. And
I applaud that.
It's not to say you have to stand and die on every hill, because nobody should be doing that. Everyone should just live their life as they see fit. But I think that I'm happier not trying to be the unbothered, exceptional Black person.
Yeah.
Because I see things for what they are, and I call it out. Like, if you're being a piece of shit, you're being a piece of shit.
That's Gen X, right? You just.
And
who you are. I got a super chat real quick, so let me read this real quick. April Van Ryan. I just got a notification that this is going to end in 15 minutes because of the Hangout that I used. I didn't use the long-term one, so we'll wrap it up in about 15 minutes. Plus, it's getting really hot in here, so I do have to turn the AC on. And there's so much to talk about. So look, we're going to be. We're not going to.
I'm so upset that I missed the first half of this.
April says
StreamYard was doing weird stuff.
She had the same problem earlier, so maybe it was like a bunch of people. Jessica was having StreamYard issues. She says, Jessica and I will have a conversation on Discord with you and tell you why I believe your opinions are based upon your own experience. Oh, interesting. Do you have Discord, Jessica?
Define Discord.
Yeah, that's a no. That's a no. And by the way, good on you. Stay away from Discord. Discord is toxic. We'll figure out. Discord is a place you go to talk to people like Facebook. Only
okay.
But it's toxic.
It's a platform.
It's not toxic for me.
Sort of. It's sort of. I mean, I have 2 Discords. It's just basically you have your own Discord. You set it up. You're the admin, and then people come in and have conversations. But
you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's all the same name, Jessica Gill with a 27 behind it. Like, I'm super easy to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna follow you on Twitter.
Frankie, let me ask you. So when people say, let's say some idiot says, "Oh well, Steve's racist," would you not think that's minimizing what racism actually is?
I would think that's, I would take, because it's just like if I get into a disagreement or a spat with somebody, and their rebuttal is to call me the N-word. It's like, really? Like, you're just gonna give up? You know what I mean? Like, it
doesn't do anything to advance anything. It just makes them look like an idiot.
I see.
Right? Like,
yeah, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing because the N-word's don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to.
No, it's not. No. EBT called me an N-word just this week on another panel.
Who?
EBT. I was on another panel. It's not that bad. I
disagree, but whatever.
I mean, hey, like I said, everyone can live their life.
I don't even like the term queer. That's been normalized.
Disrespect you
right?
like that.
Who's EBT?
Don't do that.
Who's EBT?
He's what's that called? Something by truth.
Okay, I don't know, but I mean,
he's another pound. He's another pound. So I need to look up his name.
It's a white person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me look up.
Hell no! Exactly. Oh hell no!
I do before the college.
Don't be triggered. You're not even Black.
It doesn't matter. I could be. It doesn't matter whether I'm Black or not.
We have 11 minutes, and I want to tell Frankie something, and Hank, for that matter.
Go ahead.
Real quick before the college, just on the racism thing, I want to say this. Like, you brought it up, so I'm gonna address it. But
yeah, go ahead.
I am an Uber driver, right? And I've been doing it for 2 years. I've had my trip count is over 8,500 trips, so 8,000 plus, so 16,000 plus people have been in my car.
Damn.
And in those 2 years, do you know who never ever misgenders me? It's black women. Never.
You know what? That's not surprising though. That's really not surprising.
In 8,000 trips, no, and I'm not being racist, no Black woman has ever gotten in the car and called me sir. They always say ma'am, miss, her, she, always, constantly. Black men, it's about 90% accurate all the time. White guys and white girls are always like, oh yeah, sir, or go ahead, dude. Constantly. But I don't know, I don't know where that comes from.
Wow.
Man, if we had longer than 11 minutes, because I could talk,
Oh,
I think that we could
we'll
have
have more. We'll have more.
an interesting, discourse about that, because that runs
You know what? Why don't you do
I
this?
don't-
so deep.
I don't know where it came from, or I don't know why that just rings in my head. It's just like people.
It's it's funny when you start to notice those little
Yeah.
things.
That is something
One
that's
of
very
my-
noticeable. I mean, that's notable that you brought that to people's attention. I mean, there might
One
be
of my
something to that.
One of my big pet peeves on my channels is that I get tired of these younger generations complaining about being misgendered and throwing the phone and throwing fits.
Oh my God.
I just did this tweet and I got a lot of response. I get misgendered every day, and my initial response is to just let it go. And my secondary response, if it persists, I just say, "Hey, my name is Jessica. I live in."
You diffuse
So-
it. You de-escalate.
If it goes beyond that, I let it go because it's not. I don't care, one, but I'm not gonna make somebody feel uncomfortable because they hurt my feelings. It's not worth it. It's not worth the headache.
But it's certainly a matter. It's certainly a matter of respect.
If it happens 2-3 times, I might say, "Hey, my name is just Jessica. You can stop."
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
And do
I
they?
just say, "My name is Jessica." I leave it at that. And
Is
let
that
them
usually
deal.
good enough for them? Is that usually good enough?
Yeah. Then they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "That doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, my name is."
And
Yeah.
So
it's so
let me answer the question the old Steve asked. EBT means enslaved by truth. That's another panelist. I think
I've
he
never heard
did
of
that
that
on
before.
the Machine Lies.
Yeah.
Another show. So
Yeah, that's bullshit. I mean, that's look. I
And
know we got. It's going to be ending
I
in a
did
second.
well.
I look. It's funny.
You're getting offended on my behalf,
No,
which is
no,
the
I
thing
don't-
you
No,
were
it's-
criticizing
no, it's not.
on this
No,
show.
no. I'm not offended for your half. I'm not white knighting you and then literally white knighting you. No, I grew up with this shit. I grew up with racism in my area. I have friends that had suffered for this. Why would I not be offended for what they had to go through? I see what happened. I see. Wait.
White knighting, you're doing.
No. It's not white knighting.
how would
It's not white knighting.
you
Listen,
like us to
I see.
feel
Listen.
about it?
I see somebody I love and I care about. My roommate come home
Where's
after
the-
she's been.
where's the-
Listen. I see my roommate come home after she's been called that word and see what it does to her. It affects me because I have empathy and I care about her and I love her as my friend. She's my roommate. I see what it does to her. It's not white knighting her, for her. It is I have empathy, and as a human being, when somebody uses that word about somebody else, it is morally detestable. So it is not white knighting.
It's a word.
But that
It
word
doesn't
affects
affect
people.
me.
But it affects my roommate.
Well, it doesn't affect me.
But I don't give a shit about you. No, I'm kidding. I mean that
There you
tongue in cheek. I mean that tongue. He's been in my
So-
channel for years. But you see my point, right?
How much
Sorry, go ahead,
you-
Frankie.
7 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead. Frankie.
So hey, what is your name's Hank?
Yeah, you can call me Hank.
Hank. Okay. So it's just so to you, and I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm just genuinely asking. So for you, words, do they hold value? Like what is your cutoff? Like when does a
No,
word?
words don't hold value. This is my interpretation of words that holds value.
How are
Hopefully
you?
we
How do
agree
you?
on the interpretation so we can communicate.
How do you interpret a word? I'm not trying to play semantics. I'm just trying to
Point to
understand.
the thing. You pretty much you have a hash map. You have a symbol, and you point to an object. That's how words work.
Well, words are basically a reference to some kind of reference concept.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into linguistics. That's a whole different show. But
Yeah.
anyways.
Okay, so
finish it up. Yeah, finish your thought. Go ahead.
So I can't tell another grown man how to, feel about something. But I do think that Hank, if you're okay with that, I don't know what the context was. I don't know if he
Let me
was
put it this
playing.
way.
I don't know if he was.
Let me put it this way. I'm not going to hand somebody a magic word that automatically make me triggered. That's just stupid.
Gotcha. So
you can have you can say the words you want. That doesn't mean you have the power to automatically make me offended.
gotcha.
I get
so
his
do you-
position. I understand what he's saying.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that's understandable. That is understandable. But so do you feel that us feeling offended by him calling you that is us being triggered?
Yes, absolutely. And
Okay,
yes,
so
you should know. You shouldn't give someone a magic word that automatically makes you triggered. You should make them work for it. They should actually have to do some research.
They should work for
okay,
triggering you.
they should work. They should work harder. They should work harder
Thank
to
you.
insult you.
Exactly.
So that is if that's that. Just so we're clear, I am not triggered because of somebody calling you that. I don't know you from Adam, but I do know that it is disrespectful because he knew what he was doing when he said it.
Yep.
That's the difference. If you like it, I love it, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, because I used to think the same way. Like, I don't give nobody holds, no one's living in my head for free type of situation. And I know we're losing time, but
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's you shouldn't if you're having a civil discourse with another adult and you guys are going back and forth, what was his purpose behind using that word? Was he trying to
to use a magic word to offend me, but the thing is, I'm a magician, so that's weak shit. You gotta do better than that.
That's what I mean. But at the same time, like, that just shows like how little he thinks of you, like he doesn't even deserve you having a debate with him.
Nobody deserves him
because it's disrespectful to you.
It's gonna end here in a few minutes, unfortunately.
Okay, that's my soapbox.
I love that. I
jump on for 15 minutes.
April says $6 for $5 Canadian. Sticks and stones can break bones, but words can break hearts, and that's true. Words. I don't think words are violence, but I do think, as Frankie articulately put it, words can be used to disrespect people. And that's an entirely different thing, especially when you're trying to have intelligent conversation. And the word transphobe is disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the panelists. It's disrespectful to the people who are trans. But people are going to throw those words out in order to shut down conversation out of disrespect, just like they would with the N-word or anything else. It is to minimize, it's trivialize, it's to cause some kind of harm and emotional, visceral reaction. Is essentially to shut down conversation. Because if somebody throws out those types of words in casual conversations, the conversation abruptly changes every single time.
Yeah. So what I do instead is let's keep the conversation going and destroy them.
That's what we tried doing. But Siggy came by. He had a super chat, which I've read, and I thank him for the donation.
He derailed you.
No. You know what? I don't think he did. I think he actually showed exactly what I've been talking about this time about people that are not willing to have the dialogue any longer. They just shut it down by throwing out these hyperbolic, inflammatory words that do nothing but harm the trans community. What Siggy did harmed the trans community. That's been my position. Whether Jessica agrees or not, to me is, no offense, irrelevant. She can say her own position whether it harms the trans community. In my eyes, it harms the trans community. But she's welcome to her opinion on it as well. That's the whole point of having an open panel. People have differing positions, right?
And who is the person that wanted to discuss with me about transitioning kids because my life experience doesn't count? Like
that was my moderator does, and she's great. April is great. She's been my mod for ages. She wants to have a discussion, but Siggy, I don't know if he's willing to have a discussion. Who's
the Discord person? That was
April Van Ryan.
Yeah, you're moderator. Okay, so you know.
Hey, right. Jessica, what was your Twitter, real quick?
It's just Jessica Gill, I believe.
Okay, 27, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a 27 behind it. All my accounts have 27 behind it, except for YouTube is Jessica Gill Las Vegas. But if you search it, it comes up pretty easy.
Yeah, my friend Chris says phobic words are thrown out so much they have lost their power. Exactly, and he's a conservative, by the way. And we're going to be doing some shows together coming up with Hereticals. Jessica, before we run out of time here, promote your stuff. And by the way, I think you should invite Frankie onto your channel. I will set up I'll do your assets for you. I will make your stream and everything. I'll do all your assets if you want. Have Frankie on as a guest because I think you would have a great discussion with her.
He's over here invite me to other folks' channels.
Yeah, show you out, man.
Yeah, I haven't done any live streaming yet. I don't know. I got to work on a new software platform. Like, I don't think that Yard Stream works very.
It ended. You know what? Let me see if I can get a new link real quick. Because that ended kind of abruptly. let me, if they're in the live chat here and you're listening, that ended too abruptly. I told you it was going to end. Let me just get a quick new one. 1 second. All right, so you guys can hear me. You probably can't see me. Oh, maybe you can. So here's Hank come in. So if you're listening out there, come on back in, and then I'll wrap it up. But I think they may have gone out from the live chat. Anyways, this was a good discussion. I mean, again, these can turn into dumpster fires. Don't be wrong. The links for Jessica is in the video description. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Go subscribe to her Twitter. But she's wants to have conversations with people that disagree with her, just like I do. It's very hard to find people that are willing to actually come on live panel and put their views out there, especially when you have people that disagree with you. It's not easy to do. We've all been doing it for years. Hank's been around for many years. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think of this particular episodes. I think we got the crux of it down. I think we really talked about what we were essentially wanting to talk about. Again, went off the rails a little bit, to be expected. I told Jessica that probably would. But make sure you follow her and make sure that you are adding to the dialogue by commenting on the video description and supporting the channel by getting the videos out there, because we got to fight back against some of this stuff. And I think that most of us want to protect children. And so when you're advocating people are transphobe because they want to protect children, you're doing it from a bad place. You're doing it from a very spiteful place. And it's a shame. And I think that people really should reevaluate their position when they're going against allies and they're going against people that just want to make sure that kids are not being harmed. That's it. And if you want to call that transphobic, then you are the problem. You're the one harming the trans community. It's not us. So.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
When you want to do a discussion on whether words can hurt people, because we could actually have a legit disagreement about that.
Yeah, we could do a rum and coke night about that. When's the last time we had a rum and coke night?
I think the last stream we did was rum and coke night.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, though, when we talked about something along those lines. But, all right, thank you, moderators. Thank you, Siggy, for the super chat. I know Siggy's mind's not going to be changed, but, Siggy, you have a trans person that's telling you that you're just wrong. You're the one causing the problem by throwing around that word transphobe when people are not. And it doesn't do anybody any good. Chris from Heretical, good to see you. Get with me. We're going to probably do some streams. And with that, I'm just going to call it a night because I think Jessica probably had to go. It was it's getting late for her, and she has to like go expand her channel because I'm telling you, she's going to blow up. I think she's going to blow up. She's a voice of reason, a voice of wisdom. Agree with her, disagree with her. At least she's willing to put her positions out there and talk about it. And I think that's the biggest thing I can ask for when it comes to YouTube, right? So,
yeah.
All right, Hank.
We'll talk. We'll schedule, I guess, maybe on Discord or email, and we can figure out when we can have the discussion.
Sounds good, man. I'm going to leave the meet here. I'm going to wrap it up, and I will catch you guys later. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. Bye.
All right, thank you, bud. All right, thank you guys for watching this. Again, please leave your comments. And yes, next week I'm off. I have 2 days off coming up in a row, actually. I think I have Tuesday and Thursday off of next week. So, yeah, let's make something happen, man. Hereticals. But anyways, thanks for watching this, guys. I appreciate it. Leave your comments in the comments section. Like, subscribe, and all that. And I will see you sometime in the next couple days. Peace.